Thanks for joining me on D's Analysis. Today we're going to be looking at the SPY. We're going to take a look at the election years and the 4-year gains for each term, for the past 3 terms. You take a look here in 2013, we had a 27% gain within the first year. And in the total term, the 4-year term, we had a gain of 56%. So in 4 years, you gained 56%. And the following election, the first year, 21%. You're already starting to see a little bit of correlation. 21%, 27%, 56%. For the 4-year term, 66%. The numbers are pretty close. If you look here, the last election, 30%. Last election year. Total, you ended up with 63%. So you're starting to see a pattern where you're getting anywhere from 20 to 30% a year for the first year, the election year. And then for the entire term, you're sitting around 60% for the 4-year term. Even with all the dips happening, you had the 2022 correction or crash, if you want to call it. You had COVID. You had the 2019 recession fears. You had a bunch of different things that were scary, times where the fear and greed index were at extreme fear and the market continued to rally. And that's just the long-term idea of it. So what do we think is going to happen here? If I were to take a bet, it's going to say something like 20 to 30% in year 1 with 50 to 60% gains for the 4 years. And if we were to gain 60% from the from the open, that would put us 60% would put us at 926 on the SPY, the SPY. And a 50% gain would put us at 865. This is not financial advice or anything like that. I'm just looking at the past history and we're just trying to see what could happen next. And if you look at the Bollinger Bands, they play out very well here. We're outside of the Bollinger Band on the weekly on the SP500, but every time we touch it, we usually get a rally off of it. Every time we touch it, every single time. We get small moves, even if we don't break to the red, we at least bump up to the blue line. And we're currently at the green. So maybe the next move is to the blue. Maybe we break through that and move on up to the red. But you can see we don't spend much time outside of it, and we don't spend much time touching it either. We're hardly ever at the green band. When you look at the past 15 years, we're hardly ever at the green band. We're always at the red and blue for the most part. So that's a good sign. The odds are in a bullish favor unless we have some kind of huge economic downturn. But the economic reports have been looking good, so as of now, there's nothing to worry about. And you can see off the 200, we really don't spend much time there either. We touch it and we shoot right back off of it every single time. We have the financial crisis where 08, 09, where we had a massive sell-off. That's an extended period below the 200. That and the dot-com bubble. Outside of that, we don't really spend too much time unless we have major economic downturns. But most of the time we're riding the 20 or the 50 on the way up, and we usually bounce off the 50 and just continue riding up. This is always a safe play, the SP 500, dollar cost average, a consistent amount of money that you can put away, put as much as you can that you're comfortable with, that you can live your normal life where it's not affecting you, but you do want it to be a large amount where you're actually gaining some traction and building your wealth. You can be financially free, independent. You don't have to work a 9 to 5 if you don't want to. It's up to you. So that's the beauty of personal finance. You can do whatever you want with it and make it fit your life. If you want to work a 9 to 5, but you want to have a nice car, you can do that. If you want to say, hey, I'm okay driving a Nissan Altima, but being financially free and I don't have to work for anybody and I can travel the world as much as I want, then that might be your route. So everybody has a different plan, but this definitely helps you get to whatever plan you have set out. But right now, on the long term, we do have somewhat of a trend line right there, which we could be getting a bounce off. This is a quick little draw up. Could be getting a bounce off of that with the Bollinger Bands and pushing us a little bit higher. So let's see how everything turns out. I think it's going to be a good 4 years. If the S&P 500 rallies up, then that's going to bring along Bitcoin and all the other assets along with it. All the risk on assets will be rallying up with the S&P 500. This is the main leader. If the S&P goes down, everybody else usually goes down. If the S&P is rallying, then everything else is usually going to be rallying. So let's see how it turns out. And honestly, if we're going to get a 20-something% move, let's say we're going to get a 25% move, that would put us at 725 at the end of this year. And if you go from where we're currently at right now, so 725, that's a 30% gain from here. So let's see. It's not guaranteed, but something to take note of. And in terms of Fibonacci, we take a fib. We've bounced off the 236 from this most recent local high. So let's see where price takes us. I'm going to take it down a little bit further, all the way down to the COVID crash. If we were to do that, we are in an absolute bull cycle, bull trend. This is a minuscule move compared to this entire move up. So it's practically nothing. And prior, when we had that downturn in 2022, take it to this high, we bounced right off the golden zone, the 0.5 to the 0.618, the one that we always talk about, the golden zone. Bounced right off the golden zone and continued the trend up. To the T, right off the 0.5, and we kept moving up. Let's see how it plays out. I'm very bullish in the next 4 years. And long term on the S&P 500, if you think the US is going to continue to do well, if you think all these big corporations are going to continue to make money, then you should put your money in the S&P 500. If you think Tesla, Google, Amazon, Nike, any of those companies are going to continue to make money and dominate, then your money should be in S&P 500, VTI if you want the total market. There's different options that you can do. VUG, definitely exciting times. That's all I have for you guys. I'll see you in the next one.